The presentation was, by every measure, extraordinary. She had known it would be, not from arrogance, from the particular certainty of a woman who has done the work and knows what the work looks like when it is done well. The clients had leaned forward in their chairs, asked questions that meant they were paying attention. The lead buyer had touched the Alexandrite display piece with a reverence people reserve for things that stop them mid-thought. Her team had sent congratulatory messages before she reached the elevator. She hadn't responded to any of them. The hotel room was ridiculous in the best possible way. Floor-to-ceiling windows, Lake Geneva spreading out below her like spilled silk, the city lights fracturing across the water. A bottle of Bordeaux on the table that she had not ordered and suspected had been sent by the lead buyer, who was, if nothing else, a man who understood gestures. She poured a glass, stood at the window, thought about a voice, low, measured, British in the way that made you slow down and actually listen. The kind of voice that belonged to a man who had never needed to raise it to be heard. She took a sip of wine and told herself she was being ridiculous. She took another sip and picked up her phone anyway. It rang twice.
I was wondering.
His voice, just like that. No hello, no surprise. Just those 3 words and the quiet confidence behind them, as if he had been waiting without waiting, the way only certain men know how to do. Amara smiled before she could stop herself.
Wondering what exactly?
Whether Geneva would suit you. It does, I imagine.
You imagine a lot for someone who has only seen me in an airport.
I'm a businessman, Amara. Pattern recognition is rather the whole job.
She laughed, a real one, low and unexpected, and hated how good it felt.
And what pattern did you recognize?
The pause he took was deliberate. She could hear the faint clink of glass, the suggestion of a quiet room somewhere in Edinburgh.
A woman who works very hard at pretending she doesn't want things.
The room felt warmer. She looked at her wine glass, then back at the lake.
That is a bold thing to say to someone you just met.
You called me at 11:15 from Geneva after a presentation you clearly did not need my encouragement for. So tell me, Amara, what is it you actually want to talk about?
She was quiet for a moment. Outside, a boat moved slowly across the dark water, its lights blinking like a slow heartbeat.
I don't know yet.
And somehow, that was the most honest thing she had said all day.
Good. Then we have time.
She curled into the chair by the window, tucked her feet beneath her, and they talked. About Edinburgh in winter. About the particular loneliness of success. About what it means to build something with your hands versus your name. About whether Bordeaux or Scotch was the more honest drink. He said Scotch. She disagreed beautifully. She did not mean to. One moment she was laughing softly at something he had said about the absurdity of airport wine selections, and the next, nothing. Just the slow, seamless surrender of a body that had been running on adrenaline and ambition for 4 days straight. The phone stayed warm against her cheek. The Bordeaux sat barely touched on the side table. And Amara, composed, formidable, unreadable Amara, fell asleep mid-conversation with a man she had known for less than 12 hours. In Edinburgh, James noticed the exact moment it happened. Her responses had been getting slower, the sharp wit softening at the edges, the pauses stretching just a beat longer than usual. He had been watching it happen the way you watch a candle burn down, aware, unhurried, quietly unwilling to be the one to end it. And then her breathing changed. He said her name once, gently.
Amara.
Nothing. Just the slow, even rhythm of someone finally, completely at rest. He should have hung up. Any reasonable man would have. James was reasonable in most things. He had built 2 distilleries, navigated 3 acquisitions, and sat across negotiating tables from men twice his experience without blinking. He was not sentimental. He was not impulsive. He set the phone on the arm of his chair and put it on speaker, and he stayed. His study was quiet at this hour, just the low tick of the antique clock on the mantel and the occasional shift of wood settling in the old building. He poured 2 fingers of his own whiskey, the good one, the one he did not open for business, and he sat back and listened to her breathe. It was, he thought, the strangest and most unexpectedly pleasant thing that had happened to him in a very long time. He did not examine it too closely. He had learned that some things lost their shape when you looked at them too hard. Some things you simply allowed. He opened a brief on his laptop, read the same paragraph 4 times, closed it. He watched the fire instead. Around 1:30 Edinburgh time, 2:30 in Geneva, she stirred. Just slightly. A small sound, barely there, the kind a person makes when they are surfacing and do not quite know it yet. He leaned forward.
There she is.
Not to wake her, just because. She settled again. He smiled into his whiskey glass. By 2:00 his time, his eyes were growing heavy. He was not a young man who burned through nights carelessly anymore. But he did not hang up. He simply turned off the lamp, and somewhere between Edinburgh and Geneva, with an ocean of dark air between them, and nothing but an open line and the sound of her breathing, James, silver-haired, sharp-minded, thoroughly unsentimental James, did something he had not done since he was young and completely gone for someone. He fell asleep, too. The phone finally died at 4:47 in the morning, Geneva time. Neither of them knew it. When Amara woke at 6, neck stiff from the chair and morning light pouring pale gold across the lake, she looked at her phone first. Call ended. 4:47. Duration, 5 hours, 32 minutes. She stared at that number for a long moment. 5 hours. She did the math. Geneva was an hour ahead of Edinburgh, which meant when the call dropped, it had been 3:47 in the morning for him. He had stayed. She sat with that, the weight of it, the warmth of it, before she set the phone face down on the table, stood up, and walked to the window. The lake was silver in the morning light. She was smiling. She did not try to stop it. If you want more stories or to see what happens next, like and subscribe and hit that notification bell. Until next time.